From China to Bolivia and everywhere in between, our beautiful yet intimidating planet is home to some fascinating places that, honestly, we wouldn't believe were real if we didn't see them with our own eyes. With structures that not even scientists can explain, underwater waterfalls, rainbow mountains, and post-apocalyptic forests. Join us on our tour of the world's most spectacular features. Looking like something straight out of a science fiction film, our first stop is the glowing bright beaches of Vadhu Island in the Maldives. This surreal phenomenon has been dubbed the Sea of Stars, and it's not hard to see why. Would you believe it if we told you that this neon blue site is actually alive? Crazy, right? The color comes from microorganisms called photoplankton, who call the shores of Vadhu Island home. They glow due to a chemical reaction called bioluminescence, which is activated when the usually submerged creatures are disturbed by oxygen. When the bioluminescence is switched on, the surrounding water sends tiny electrical impulses through the phytoplankton. And when these impulses react with their built-in proteins known as luciferase, the stunning blue glow which you see before you is released. That stunning glow is also a way to fend off nearby predators. You see, if a bigger fish wants to chow down, the glowing phytoplankton would continue to glow even while inside the fish. This makes the fish more visible to predators of its own, so it's less likely to eat the phytoplankton in the first place. Next up, we are journeying all the way over to Europe, Poland to be exact, where the ominous and bizarre Crooked Forest awaits. That's not Photoshop, folks. These trees really are naturally shaped that way. If you're thinking of checking it out for yourself, you'll have to venture outside of the town of Grafino, which is located not too far from the western border, right about here. Unfortunately, the nearby town was mostly destroyed during the 1930s and 40s, meaning that we lost all access to those who knew the truth behind the forest. Scientists still aren't entirely sure how these trees ended up this way. The most commonly accepted explanation is that they were intentionally bent by farmers who would sell their uniquely shaped wood for furniture or shipbuilding. Others think it was formed naturally during a sandstorm that swept through the area when the trees were growing. Regardless of how they got that way, it's a very impressive sight, that's for sure. There's nothing man-made about our next unbelievable place. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Salar de Uyuni. At 10,582 square kilometers, about 4,086 square miles, these are the largest salt flats on planet Earth hands down. The thing is, it's hard to believe that this is actually on Earth at all. No matter which direction you look, it's nothing but white, as far as the eye can see. Because of the endless horizon, wandering tourists are able to capture photos that use depth of field to their advantage. Battle a toy dinosaur, cook your friends in a pan, or crawl out of a Pringles can. At the Salt Flats, you can make anything look real. On top of that, the area is also home to the world's first hotel made entirely out of salt. Would you sleep there? On the off chance that it rains there, well, see for yourself. Did someone say world's largest mirror? From the salt desert in Bolivia, we're skipping over to the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan. Considering that Karakum occupies about 70% of the entire country, there's sure to be a few sneaky surprises hidden throughout its 135 square miles. That's 350,000 square kilometers. In the form of what can only be described as the real-life entrance to hell. Sure, Karakum might be Central Asia's hottest desert, but that doesn't make the fact that there's literally a giant burning pit of fire any less menacing. Officially known as the Darvaza Crater, the 69-meter-wide, 30-meter-deep hole has been burning since 1971. At the time, geologists were drilling around the site when they found some natural gas. In order to stop the methane gas from spreading, they intentionally lit a fire. The fire caused the earth to crumble, taking the drilling equipment down with it. Lighting fires to deal with escaping gases is normal. It's a process known as flaring. The issue for the local geologists, however, was that they were clueless as to how much gas was hiding underground. Since that day, the gas continues to escape and the sinister flames have never stopped burning. From fire to water, we're headed over to Mauritius, a tiny island about 2,000 kilometers, 1,240 miles, off from Africa's southeastern mainland coast. It's home to one of the most mysterious natural phenomenon we've ever seen. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the perplexing underwater waterfall, located just off the southern tip of the island. From the shores, it doesn't seem like much, but from a bird's eye perspective, well, check it out. It looks to the naked eye as if the water is legitimately cascading to the depths of the ocean floor. In reality, it's all a bit of an optical illusion. The dramatic underwater drop isn't a drop at all. It's just the natural flow of the underwater currents moving the sand and silt from the ocean floor in directions that make it seem that way. The different densities of sand fluctuate the colors of the water, creating this amazing vista. There are no illusions or magic at play with our next stunning water phenomenon. Sounding like something straight out of the Bible, let us introduce you to the sea that splits in two. The bizarre showing happened in Kerala, the southwestern state of India. After a series of harsh storms swept the area, residents of Ponani were forced to deal with surging floodwaters. To their amazement, as the rain stopped and the water began to recede, they discovered that a miraculous island-like structure had sprouted up along their beach. At over half a kilometer long, more than 1,600 feet, the narrow strip was thought to have been created as a result of the sand that was swept down from the Bharatapuzha River. Pretty crazy, eh? Are there any Avatar fans out there? Looking like a real-life Pandora, our next destination is perfect for any film buff's bucket list. That is, of course, if you're not terrified of heights. These are the Tianzi Mountains, a 16,650-hectare expanse found over in Zhangjiajie in the Hunan province of China. It makes perfect sense why James Cameron used this otherworldly location as his inspiration for Pandora, because when surrounded by fog and clouds, these legendary peaks truly appear as if they're floating. They're thought to be around 318 million years old, with the highest of the quartz stone structures perched near the heavens at a startling 4,140 feet, or 1,260 meters. When the snow falls down in the winter, it only becomes more magical. Without leaving China, let's venture toward our next stop, the Rainbow Rocks. Looking like a mix between an impressionist painting and a kaleidoscope, it's hard to believe that this place is 100% natural. Since being named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2009, the Rainbow Rocks, which are found in the Zhangjiajie Dangxian National Park in China's Gansu province, have become more and more popular with the local and international tourists. Covering close to 200 square miles, the 24-million-year-old park wasn't always jutted with rainbow hills. Before planet Earth's tectonic plates collided around 55 million years ago, believe it or not, what you see before you was all flat. At its heart, the main color is a deep red sandstone. It turned rainbow-like over time because weathering and erosion exposed underlying layers of rock, each which was made up of a slightly different mineral chemistry. As water and oxygen took effect on the iron in all of the layers, the red color started to come to play. However, other minerals in each layer, like sulfur and chlorite, created different colors, yellow and green respectively. Speaking of unique colors, say hello to the bubblegum pink Lake Hillier, located down under in Western Australia. At 600 meters long and 250 meters wide, or around 2,000 by 820 feet, the Pink Lake is one of the largest and most fascinating on Earth. The unique shade is actually due to tiny living bacteria that swim around in the water called Dunalilia salina. These microorganisms produce something called beta-carotene carotenoid pigments. In non-science terms, it means they produce a plant-based chemical that is responsible for giving off the color you see before you. Interestingly, the same pigment is also found in carrots. Over in southern Africa's Namib Desert, there's a mysterious phenomenon that has baffled scientists for decades: the fairy circles. From above, the entire landscape looks like a polka-dotted dress, made up of thousands of obscure circles. The smallest are about 5 feet in diameter, but the further north we go, the bigger they get. The largest circles, which are actually found up in Angola, have measured at an astounding 130 feet wide. Over the years, a number of theories have floated around. Many pinned it down to sand termites, but more recently it's been thought that they might have sprouted due to natural vegetation patterns that appear when grasses compete against one another for space. If you thought that mysterious circle patterns were strange, wait until you see what we've got in store next. Over in the dry desert of southern Peru, there are about 300 different figures scattered over the area of nearly 1,000 square kilometers. Thought to date back somewhere between 200 BC and 500 AD, they're known to us as the Nazca Lines. Their existence is one of Earth's greatest mysteries. To this day, we still have so much to discover about how, and more so, why, the monkey, spider, human, condor, and the rest of the shapes were created. Scientists have suggested that they were related to the Nazca people's irrigation systems, which used engineering techniques to bring water to the surface, while others assert that they were part of a ritual to the gods, in an effort to bring much-needed rain to the area. Last but not least, we're hopping over to Ukraine, home to a 2-mile stretch of private railway. What makes this train track so special is that it has been engulfed by the encompassing trees, turning it into a photogenic, enchanting natural tunnel. Aside from its obvious romantic aesthetic, The space has been dubbed the Tunnel of Love because of the superstitions surrounding it. Local legend says that couples who visit the tunnel will be granted a wish, provided that their intentions are sincere. If you were strolling through there, what would you wish for? The track is still in use, with trains passing through it daily. Despite it being a danger for tourists, that's actually a good thing, as it helps the forest maintain its tunnel-like shape. If transport were to ever stop, the trees could grow over and we could lose the marvelous place altogether.